Hey, Bill O'Reilly here. Welcome to another YouTube bonus. Very pleased you are with us as our channel grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. Tonight may be my most controversial commentary that I've done on YouTube. And I got to deal with it. I don't really want to, but I have to deal. So you remember on October 7th, 27th, I should say, October 27th, Tucker Carlson had a guy on his podcast, Nick Fuentes, all right? So Mr. Fuentes is a young man, 27 years old, political commentator, and he's far, far, far right. And not only that, but he rewrites history. He's kind of like Hitler in the Third Reich. He doesn't like Jews very much. And a lot of things he says are anti-Semitic, in my opinion. He would say they're not, but you can decide that for yourself. But he raises the question of anti-Semitism in America. And that is what we're going to deal with tonight, because you need to know about it in a fair and fact-based analysis. So let's start off with a soundbite from Fuentes and Carlson. Go.
And what you're saying about putting aside the tribal interest for the corporate interest,
Yes.
that's absolutely the case. And that's the only way the country's going to stay together.
Exactly.
And
That's my concern.
And I absolutely agree with you. I would say, though, that the main challenge to that, a big challenge to that, is organized Jewry in America.
Organized Jewry is offensive to Mr. Fuentes. And apparently Mr. Carlson agrees that there's some kind of organized Jewry. Okay, and now I'm not quite sure where that is. They have an office? Can I go visit? Every ethnic group in this country has organizations, okay? So you have Italian, you have Irish, you have Polish. They all have clubs and fairly organized. Some of them have political action committees that legislate on their behalf to try to get whatever they want put in front of the public. So it's not paramount in the United States, but if you look at New York City, we got Little Italy, we got Chinatown, we got Woodside where the Irish people are, and people band together because they have commonality. And the Jewish people do that too. But is there some kind of organized thing that's doing something wrong? All right, so Fuentes apparently objects to support for Israel. I'm an Irish guy. I support Israel. I understand why Israel is the way it is, because millions of people would kill all the Jews. So that's why. They got to have a strong defense. They can't be tolerating terrorism, or they'll be dead. It's as simple as that. All right, so Fuentes goes on there and he says this stuff about organized Jewry, and I'm going, what are you talking about? All right, he doesn't define it. Now, earlier, a few years ago, he did define how he believes, and it's scary. Roll that tape.
Let's just get the Hitler thing out of the way. Do you actually admire Adolf Hitler?
In some ways, yes. And I'm not a National Socialist, and I'm not I wouldn't identify that way because I'm a Christian. So I'm not any kind of a socialist or a fascist. I believe we should have a Christian government. It's a Christian country. God runs the world. We should have a government in accordance with that. But honestly, I don't share this histrionic Jewish view that Hitler is this exceptionally boogeyman, evil figure.
Now, that is really frightening. Now, I don't care what Nick Fuentes says. I don't care. He doesn't know anything. He's dumb. If he reads my book, Confronting Evil, which is 100% fact-based, you'll see what Hitler and the Third Reich did to Jews. Now, There's no two sides to that story. There's one story. It's documented. If you want to think it isn't, that's your neurosis. But believe me, when you go out and peddle this stuff that Hitler is not an evil figure, I mean, that's just off the chart. That's the kind of stuff that disqualifies you from the court of public opinion. So I'm not going to book anybody who says that on my program, even though I can debate them into pudding in about 2 minutes. Why bother? Why give them a forum? They haven't earned it. This is stupid. You can say and make up anything you want, right? That's what I told Bill Maher over the weekend. And if you want to see some of that, it's on BillO'Reilly.com. But I said, wait, Maher didn't have him on. I didn't have him on. But why would you put people like that on? That's so irresponsible and hateful. Because millions of Jewish people lost ancestors who were burned alive or brutalized in camps run by Nazis. And Hitler ordered it. Hitler wanted it. Hitler did it. And you got a punk like Fuentes running around saying Hitler's not an evil figure? Come on. So he disqualifies himself. All right. Now, most people know that, but then it comes down to, well, if you're an analyst or a podcaster or something, shouldn't all sides be heard? Roll a tape on that.
Now, let's talk about Tucker Carlson platforming Nick Fuentes. I would never platform Nick Fuentes. I would just never do. There's no click or view that's worth highlighting someone who's an absolute lunatic, who's detrimental to humanity, period. I mean, to put Joseph Stalin on a pedestal, the 10/18s a day, it's you just don't do it.
All right, so I come down on that side. I mean, I'm obviously a believer in free speech, but why legitimize somebody who doesn't know anything, or maybe they're not quite right? I'm not going to do that. All right, let me run down a few things so you can get this into perspective. But that ignited the anti-Semitism debate in America. That ignited it, that back and forth, because the social media with Mr. Carlson is very powerful, it reaches a lot of people. Okay, there are 7.5 million Jewish Americans. There's 341 million of us, and only 7.5 Jewish Americans. So what? It's this cabal. Come on, there's just no numbers. All right, New York, L.A., Miami. That's where most of the Jews live in America. 23% of Jewish households earn $200,000 or more. That creates envy. So Jewish Americans work very hard. A lot of my business people are Jewish. And I've known them for decades because they're very good at what they do. I'm Irish. They're Jewish. I raised in Levittown. There were Jewish kids all over the place. I never had a problem, ever. I don't know what it is. I just don't know what it is. Why would you pick out Jewish Americans for any scorn? For what? Now, anti-Semitism began more than 3,000 years ago because, all right, the Egyptians subjugated the tribes that evolved into Jews. You saw the Ten Commandment movie, Charlton Heston, Yul Brynner, and they were slaves. The Jews were slaves under the Egyptians. And then the Jews escaped. All right? And then they formed a bigger tribe. And the tribe clashed over land and culture because the Jewish people believed in a certain God and a certain theology. Enter Jesus, okay, who was a preacher in what is now Israel, Palestine. Now, the Romans who governed that territory back then, they despised the Jews. They thought they were the lowest precincts and vice versa. The Romans taxed them up to here, and Jesus was a Jew. And Jesus was attracting all of these crowds, thousands of people showing up. And I write about it in Killing Jesus, which is a history book, not religious. The Romans basically came to the conclusion, Pontius Pilate was the governor, this guy's not worth the trouble. Because the Jewish authorities in the temple at Jerusalem, they were jealous of Jesus. They didn't want any part of Jesus. He was taking away their power. So they solicited the Romans to kill him, and the Romans did. Then Christianity developed that after Jesus died, and some Christians blamed the Jews for killing Jesus, which is not historically accurate. The Sanhedrin didn't like him, but they didn't have the power to kill him. Only the Romans did. American homeowners, the FBI has been warning all of us about a type of real estate fraud called title theft. The target, your equity. With just a forged signature, ownership can be transferred out of your name, and without protection in place, you are facing an emotional and financial nightmare. That's why I partner up with Home Title Lock. You can find out today if you are already a victim and protect yourself. Use promo code BILL at HomeTitleLock.com to get a free title history report plus a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring, urgent alerts, and if you are a victim of fraud, they will spend up to $1 million to fix it. Don't be a victim. Protect your equity today. That's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code BILL, or use the link below. That's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code BILL. Then Rome collapses, and the middle of Europe descends into chaos. There is a sin in the Catholic Christian religion called usury. You know what usury is? That's lending money for a profit. Big sin back then. So the only people who could lend money in medieval Europe were Jews. When the money was not paid back, some Jewish landlords, money lenders, took the land, took the home. That lit another fuse of anti-Semitism that exists to this day. That combination of Jesus and money lending formed the anti-Jewish feeling, which then exploded in World War II. And it wasn't just Hitler. Stalin hated the Jews, Ukraine, Romania, you name it. And the Third Reich, the Nazis tried to wipe out the entire population of Jews. They got more than 6 million of them. After World War II, Jews had nowhere to go. Nobody wanted to take them in Europe. Nobody. So they petitioned the British, who owned land in the Middle East. They owned it. They took it over. And then, with the help of President Harry Truman in 1948, Israel, the country, was established. So the Jews had somewhere to go to protect themselves. Ever since then, there's been conflict between the Arabs and the Jews. One more thing. So the prophet Muhammad, he shows up in the 6th century AD. Okay, he's born in 570 AD. Anno Domini, I use that. And he grows up to be the prophet of Islam. He clashes with Jews. All right, and it was political land, and that formed the rivalry between Islam and the Jewish faith. So you could see if you're Jewish, you got everybody coming after you. Now, America is a tolerant place. And there's a poll, Washington Post, all right, September. How safe do you feel as a Jew in the USA? This is only among Jewish Americans, okay? Safe, 70%, less safe, 30%. That tells you. that there really isn't rampant anti-Semitism in this country. And I believe it. I've been all over. As I said, my experience, I didn't have any problem ever. I got a Jewish friend, Jeff Cohen, goes back to 6 years old. He just said, and as I said, all my business people, and I'm going, what is this? So the two areas that are fueling anti-Semitism in America today are the far left progressives who hate Israel, hate that country. Fascist, genocide, you name it. That was the college stuff last year. Vile progressives hated Israel. And by extension, some of them hate Jews. Then you get the far right, Nick Fuentes, neo-Nazi people. I'm not calling Fuentes a neo-Nazi. I don't know him. But he accurately reflects their point of view. There are many of those people. There are far more progressives who hate Israel than neo-Nazis that hate Jews. Okay, not many neo-Nazis, thank God. But still today, I think, you ask any Jewish American, they're out to be here. Okay? Because we are not a nation that embraces anti-Semitism as a whole. I think that's fair analysis. If you have anything to add or disagree, bill@BillO'Reilly.com, bill@BillO'Reilly.com. We thank you very much for watching this YouTube bonus, and we'll see you again soon.